everybody, and welcome to another video from the Watch channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at a watch that I feel has got some really strong Australian links. It's from the watch brand Oris, and you might think, Oris, well, they're a Swiss watch company. Why have they got an Australian link? Well, Oris as a business don't necessarily, but one of the watches that they've released recently, which is the Oris Coulson limited edition, does certainly put a little bit of a nod towards some extremely important services provided by Coulson Aviation. Now, to give you a bit of background, here in Australia it is summer, and you can probably tell because I have a little bit of a damp brow. It's a hot country. We have a very, very long summer. It's can be quite aggressive and oppressive sometimes, the heat over here, and whilst many people watching maybe from colder countries might think that that is absolutely fantastic, unfortunately it does have a dark side to it. Back in 2009 we had the Victorian bushfires, which absolutely decimated a lot of people's lives, killed a lot of wildlife, and ultimately a lot of heartache for our country. 2019, 2020, we had even more fires, which again decimated a whole bunch of properties, and we're still seeing the effects of those fires. But Coulson Aviation, who this watch is a bit of a nod to, provide extremely important support services to our fire and emergency services. Originally they were from Canada, but they've been operating here in Australia for 20 plus years, and like I say, they really have helped a lot of our emergency services and the Australian public in general in helping to quash some of those horrific fires and make sure that the damage is limited as best we can. Before we kick off the video and take a little bit of a deeper look at this particular watch, if you do like the content, please do consider subscribing. It really helps us out and would be greatly appreciated. Alright guys, without further ado, let's take a look at this watch in greater detail. Okay, so here it is, the Oris Coulson ProPilot Limited Edition Calibre 400. Now, dimensions of the watch, you have a 41mm diameter and a very reasonable 12.2 mils of thickness. In terms of lug width, you're looking at 20 mils. The case on this watch is really unique. They partnered with the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology and produced this aerospace grade polymer known as PEKK. Essentially, the watch case is built using a 3D printing and milling process. As you can see from this footage, the side of the case does have this beautiful sort of tiger stripe finish to it, and that's due to that carbon fibre 3D printing process. Of course, the main benefit with carbon fibre is that it is extremely light. This watch in total weighs just 65 grams. That is extremely light. Whilst the case is made out of carbon fibre, the bezel and crown are made out of titanium. One thing that has sort of occurred to me is just how scratch resistant carbon fibre actually is. Of course, I'm not going to scratch this watch, but I am quite interested to learn, if anybody has had a carbon fibre watch, just how resistant scratches they might be. For me, the dial absolutely personifies that bushfire sort of tone that we're unfortunately used to seeing here in Australia. You've got that bright orange down at the 6 o'clock position, fading up to a darker orange up at the 12. You can see you've got really clear hands and hour indices and that date window at the 6 o'clock position. I mentioned it a second ago, but the legibility on this watch is absolutely astounding. As you can see from this footage, you've got really good lume. It makes a very, very nice blue sort of tone to it. But even in regular daylight where you're not using that lume, I really do think those offset white hour markers and the huge hands really do make it a very, very simple watch for you to read in any situation. Turning the watch over, you can see it is just as beautiful at the rear as it is the front. You can see there you do have a titanium case back, and enclosed within the carbon fibre case powering it is Oris's in-house movement, the Calibre 400. Now this watch does have a 120 hour power reserve, so essentially 5 days of power reserve once fully wound. Another thing that's really interesting about this particular watch, and goes to prove its reliability, is that Oris do have a 10-year warranty on this movement and 10-year servicing intervals. Again, with a traditional automatic watch, you're looking at maybe 3, 4, 5 years of service. Oris have doubled that at best at 10 years, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Flipping the watch over and rounding out those final specifications, the watch does have a screw-down crown and as such 100 meters of water resistance, and it does have a sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating. Strap's very nice, this canvasy sort of sailcloth material backed with a really nice orange calf leather. Very cool and looks just like the dial, so really nice finishing there. In terms of the clasp, that is also made out of titanium, much the same as the bezel and the crown. As I mentioned at the start of this video, it is a limited edition model, so there's 1,000 pieces. What I thought was really cool is you can go onto the Oris website and actually select the limited edition number if it's available. Retail is 6,000 Australian dollars, which on the face of it, I think is really good value. Again, you've got that calibre 400 in-house movement. It's got some groundbreaking technologies, that 5-day power reserve, and again, you've got such a lightweight carbon fibre case. Now again, the only other manufacturer that I can think of that produces carbon fibre watches is Richard Mille. And personally speaking, I find them absolutely hideous. But when you consider that you can't find one of their watches for under 100 grand, 6,000 for this is an absolute steal. Anyway guys, I hope that you've really enjoyed the footage. If you do have any questions for me, please do put them in the comment section. Other than that, I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care guys. Goodbye.